To me, the most beautiful word, and I've said this for the last couple of weeks, in the dictionary today, is the word tariff.
Well, this is gonna be a fun video. So tariffs are the mouthpiece of Trump's 2024 election campaign, and it doesn't take a genius to tell you how stupid of an idea that really is. But this
fucking donut
doesn't even know how tariffs work or how the economy works or how literally anything works. Like, this is the guy that bankrupted a casino, a freaking casino. He literally bankrupted a no-loss business, and somehow Americans voted him in to fix their economy. So for starters, this is how tariffs work. There is country A that has certain businesses, and then there is country B where there is the production line of certain products. Now in a free trade system, if businesses in country A imports $100 of those products from country B, then they pay that money to the suppliers in country B. But if country A imposes a 100% tariff on those goods, then businesses in country A pay $100 to their supplier and another $100 to their own government. And since it costs them twice to import those goods, they will sell those goods at twice the price and pass the burden on to the customers. So in short, it's not China that's gonna pay the tariffs, you fools. It's American businesses that are gonna pay the tariffs. And businesses aren't saints, especially American businesses, because they are not saints. They are literally the spawns of the devil. They will squeeze every single drop of tears, sweat and blood from you if it makes them money. But Afnan, wouldn't that make domestically produced goods more attractive? Yes, it would have if America made anything, but fun fact, they don't. Almost all of the things they use are imported, and let's say they did produce something, then this will be the likely scenario. Local goods cost $50 and imported goods cost $40. After tariff, the imported goods cost $60, and at that point the retailers can do this one thing. They can slap a price tag of $55 and be like, hey yo bro, our stuff is cheaper. In theory they'd be correct that their prices are cheaper, but in reality they're selling at a higher rate and ripping you off, because there is nothing in the US that stops you from producing something for $1 and selling it for 30. But Afnan, when the suppliers will see that there is a drop in sales, wouldn't they move their supply chain to the US? Fun fact, no. There are two reasons for that. Number one, most Americans are lazy, stupid, and are actually incapable of doing any manufacturing jobs. They start whining just by doing a 9 to 5 job in a coffee shop. You think they can handle heavy manufacturing? Hell no. Every single one of those lazy bums wants to be that guy that stays on the top and gives orders. But none of them actually want to go and do any of the physical labor themselves. And number two, even with tariffs, imported goods will still be far cheaper than producing them in the US, because there is something called labor cost. Like, for example, the minimum hourly wage in Mexico is like $2-ish, and in the US it's like $7.25. So even assuming that there is a 100% tariff and using some rough estimates, Mexico producing something will cost $2 in labor, $1 in materials, $2 in shipment, and $3 in tariffs. That comes out to barely $8. And if you produce the same shit in the US, the labor cost alone would come up to $7.25. And don't forget the fact that you need materials that cost twice because of the tariffs and then the shipment cost. Again, these are just rough estimates. The actual number including tariffs will be even cheaper than this. Plus, Mexico is upper middle income country, so there are countries out there whose labor cost is even cheaper. And Trump isn't even putting a 100% tariff, he's putting a 25% tariff on everybody and 35% tariff on China, which is peanuts compared to the production cost in the US. So no, the production line isn't even moving to the US anytime soon. All that's gonna do is make imported stuff even more expensive, and retailers will increase their prices and use the "we are still cheaper than them" card to suck your wallet dry. Now the orange man further said that he will get government revenue from the tariffs and cut income taxes. But what if countries don't export to you? Then what? Where's your revenue? It's gone. Also, side note, why does Trump look like he's having an orgasm while holding Modi's hand? Seems weird, but anyways, it's not entirely unrealistic to see export bans to the US, as we have seen China ban the exports of various minerals and materials to the US. And funny enough, China, African Union, EU, they can't stop trading with the US, but they can however ban the export of raw materials. And when you can buy raw materials, you can produce stuff domestically. And at that point, your only choice is to import the finished goods, which means not only are you not creating any jobs, you are actively destroying more local industries and being more reliant on imports. Because again, if you can buy raw materials, then you produce nothing. And as for the tax cuts, that only benefits people if they actually have a job. And funny enough, America has a serious lack of jobs. So I don't know how that helps literally anyone, because not only are you unemployed, but also you have to pay higher prices for everything. So what about the revenue generated from the tariff? Well, let's take the OEC data and do some maths. In the year 2022, USA imported almost $3.12 trillion worth of goods and services. But for the argument's sake, let's say it's all goods because you can't really tariff services. Now, if we apply Trump's 35% tariff on China and 25% tariff on all others, we get $835 billion in revenue, which is a little over US's 2022 defense budget. And note that the actual amount would be far lower than this because we kept services out of the equation. And you know what's funny? After 2001, USA didn't have a single budget surplus. Again, side note, a budget surplus is when the government revenue is more than its expenses, and a budget deficit is when the government expenses are more than its revenue. And the USA has a budget deficit of over $1.6 trillion every single year. So thinking that slashing taxes and increasing tariffs will somehow solve all of the problems is absolute idiocracy. All that's gonna do is drastically increase their debt. Like, this is such a perfect formula for a disaster. Like, Trump's policies won't benefit the average American. It will just make the rich richer and the poor poorer.